The British were not the only Europeans in North America. The French, Spanish, and Dutch were there too. In 1754, Britain began fighting the French for control of North America. This struggle was called the French and Indian War. Many Indian nations sided with the French, while others fought alongside the British. However, some felt like this Creek chief.
Young men and warriors, the sky is blue. Everything is quiet on the face of the earth, and the blood of men ought not to be spilt.
For many Native Americans, the warfare among the Europeans was one more disturbing aspect of colonial settlement. British victory in 1763 forced France to give up most of its North American lands. Now Britain had a larger empire, but it also had bigger worries. First, the war had cost a lot of money. Who would pay the costs? Second, England now had to rule over French Canadians and many more Native Americans. Just then, the Indian leader Pontiac led a major attack on British forts all along the Great Lakes. To stop the fighting, the government issued the Proclamation of 1763. This drew an imaginary line down the Appalachian Mountains. Americans could not settle west of this line until the Indians agreed to give it up. The fighting stopped, but many colonists resented the ban on westward expansion. And there was still the question of who would pay for the new empire. The British wanted Americans to pay more. Americans paid very few taxes, and they had gained the most from English victory. They no longer had to worry about the French. It seemed fair that they should help pay for the war. So, in 1764, Parliament passed two new taxes. The Currency Act said colonists could not print their own paper money. The colonists were disturbed because it made it harder for them to do business with each other. They were even more unhappy about the Sugar Act. It taxed goods such as sugar, wine, and coffee that came from other countries. This was part of Britain's trade plan for all its colonies. Raw materials were sent to England, where they were manufactured into products such as clothing, ships, and smoking tobacco. These finished goods were then sold back to the colonists. For years, most colonists had ignored these laws. They had smuggled in all kinds of things from other countries. They drank French wines and ate Dutch cheeses. Now the British taxed sugar and meant to enforce it. The colonists were angry. Sugar was important, especially in New England. People used it to make molasses and rum. They cooked with it and traded it for other goods. 8 colonies officially asked Parliament to repeal the Sugar Act. Many colonists denounced the act as taxation without representation. Sam Adams of Boston said,
"With this tax, you have made us slaves, not subjects of the king. You have no right to tax without giving us a representative in Parliament."